Me and my brand. I love my wife. I love my daughter, and I'll be writing shit about Baltimore. Those are my books over there. Ghost of East Baltimore and Ghost of West Baltimore. If you didn't gather that. Well, this is a story called Whole Time, and I'm really excited to share it with y'all. So I'm really gonna enjoy this. Whole time, we know this guy from the South Side who drank so much lead growing up that now he can't die. Now that might sound counterintuitive on account of the toxic metal exposure, but this motherfucker is impervious. Dense metaphysical lines all through his long bones. They say he can't board a plane without causing a commotion. I could go raw on these hoes if I wanted to. The metal protects me. I don't have to use condoms. I choose to. The reason I use condoms, just because I can't get sick, doesn't mean that I can't get someone else sick. I would never do that. That's irresponsible. That's what he always says. He's a considerate guy in that way. And it's not just that he can't get sick. We tried shooting him. Last summer, we took him out back behind Damier's place and shot at him with magnums and Glocks and ARs and Chris Vectors. The bullets just came to a stop and rode down his chest, the sound of metal on metal twinkling. We guess he's mostly lead now. He must weigh a fucking ton. We even tried to hit him with a car once, but it fucked up our car, and for a while we had to Uber and Lyft everywhere. But what if you could become greater than yourself? You see, Damier says that men with pale faces and black holes for mouths ride in with the morning tide of rush hour traffic, snatching all the babies up. You see, in my city, 2,200 children go missing every year, and the majority of these missing children come from neighborhoods east of the river, obviously, and these are crimes against nature. On the way to the FEMA building at 500 C Street, I passed by the Potomac Inn and heard somebody call my name. I looked up and I saw Sheila with her almond eyes and all that hair waving at me from the 6th-story window. Hey, I waved back. When did you get back? Sheila smiled. Just last night. They gave me a chauffeur all the way back from the airport. They had free Fiji water bottles in the back seat. I took like 6 of them. They didn't even notice. You can have one too if you want. Oh, word. I'm on the way to FEMA to get that check, you feel me? Her eyes lit up. Me too. My appointment is later today. I had my appointment with the recovery support specialist last week. I told her what he informed me, that I would be entitled to compensation. And I admit, I winked when I said the word compensation. What I didn't tell her is that for what I got, they had to be giving at least me like $700 a week, shit, maybe a whole stack. And like Damier always says, best believe I'm coming for that fucking bag. Damier also says that if you go swimming in the Anacostia River, you come out of the water with superpowers like the Fantastic Four, the fucking Incredible Hulk. What Damier does not say is that majority of the time, nobody gets any superpowers. Most times they come out with their limbs melted off, flapping their new flippers like human dolphin hybrids. Whole time, you don't need religion to be inspired. Expressions of individuality can come from within. At first, we didn't know how to receive our blessings. We didn't know. We were so small back then, and yet so was the mustard seed. With faith in ourselves, we can move mountains. You see, our idea of freedom in objects that we judge as beautiful, and the degree of beauty is directly proportional to how much freedom we perceive in that object, you see. The human desire to be free is universal. So are the objects that we find beautiful, okay? If I can turn this page. Maybe our blessings were beautiful. Perhaps they had the potential to be beautiful, but keeping them tied down, trapped underneath layers of clothing wrapped around our body was anything but freeing. See, the thing about hope is that it impedes us. Hope for salvation dampens our appreciation for our current existence. You see, only by turning away from hope can we ever begin to appreciate our life. You see, we must understand that we were pulled from the void, so there is no need to fear it. There is so much relief and acceptance. We needed to accept our blessings. We needed to let them free. We needed to become a part of nature. And through freedom, the city will see the beauty of our nature. Well, maybe I'll see you later, Sheila said, and I hope that when she said maybe, she meant maybe as in that she hoped I would take the initiative to see her later, you feel me? So I waved goodbye and I kept walking to the FEMA building, tall and foreboding and made of all black glass. Inside the building, the investigator said, as your advocate, I advise you to file an SI-60. I asked her what the fuck an SI-60 was. She looked at me with a frog face. I looked right back at her. Ma'am, I'll have you know that I am a victim of contaminated drinking water. I believe the Washington Post and the Baltimore Banner refer to this shit as an epidemic. Yes. All these metals probably fried my fucking brain. How the fuck am I supposed to know what an SI whatever is? The investigator sighed and stared at a computer monitor. You're a Ward 8 resident, right? Yes. And you've been a Ward 8 resident for how long? All my life. I was born in the basement on Good Hope Road, my grandma's basement. She still lives here to this day. Uh-huh. She clicked away on her mouse, focused on whatever was on the screen. Whole time, I told her, I know this fish. Well, like, I don't exactly know this fish, like personally or anything, but see what had happened was, I went fishing this one time in the Anacostia River and I hooked this big ass catfish with a whole bunch of extra fucking eyeballs. And we pulled that fish out of the murky water and dropped all 32 pounds of channel cat under the grassy bank. No cap, it squawked like a bird. Maybe a seagull, or one of those nasty ass Canada geese. Look, you should write this shit down. The investigator tapped away on her keyboard. I have to see the appendage, she told me, while taking out a digital camera. It's the only way we can ensure that you receive your benefit package. I lifted up my shirt and pushed. The woman was a professional. She took a quick look, snapped a picture, then went right back to her keyboard, tapping away like everything was fine. I sucked in air, retracted my appendage. Before I put my shirt down, I actually investigated for a paper towel to wipe off the plasma or sap or whatever it was. You see, like Damier always says, I ain't finna stain my Lacoste for nothing, not even my goddamn self. So we propose to you the classical totems, the laurel branch, the myrtle bough, and the ivy vine. You see, the artist thinks, feels, and plays. And play is represented by the ivy vine. It's wild and feckless, and yet it reconstitutes our potential. In sensuality, the myrtle bough, you see, that shit is tender, gentle, but intellect, that's the laurel branch, right? That can tame and play and encourage sensuality to assert itself in a much more productive manner. You see, unlike the ancient Greeks, modern humans have a more developed sense of self. We therefore are more aware of our separation from nature. We feel the natural, but we fear to feel naturally. You see, our appendage, our blessing, gave us a spontaneity and sensuality we would need to feel the heart of the city, to be a part of nature rather than apart from nature, to grow in ways that we thought never possible. Our understanding of the city would tame it. So I was outside the FEMA building with my benefits card, trying to set up the login and the password for the FEMA mobile app when I saw Damier. My man, 100 grand, he said, putting his hand out. I put out mine and we slid palms until our thumbs interlocked, the 4 fingers on each of our hands pointing out straight and flat, and then we let go. Damier, yo. He put flame to the end of the Newport and shrugged. I'm good, he said, blowing smoke out of one nostril. So how much they give you? 300 a week, next 25 years. I lied. It's not like I could tell him the truth. When a motherfucker gets paid, everybody's best friend, sister, auntie, cousin, uncle, mother wants to get paid too. And like Damier always says, it be your own motherfucking people. So he squinted at me suspiciously. 300 a week ain't shit. How you only get 300s when you got a whole appendage? I shrugged. They say everybody in the city got appendages and tentacles and shit now. Some fools even got 2 or 3. Shit is crazy. Bitch, stop lying. Whatever. I bummed a cigarette from Damier and headed back to the block. On 36 in Minnesota, I posted up at an abandoned row house stoop and did some online shopping. I didn't have my FEMA money quite yet, so back then I was just filling up the cart with shit that I planned on getting. Now, almost everything we do is to avoid being dominated by the world around us. The rest of our energy is spent trying to look fly as a motherfucker. The children in the city have it the hardest. In my city, you see, without any educational resources, all they have is their youth and vitality. This is the only weapon they possess to avoid being dominated. In Notes from Underground, Dostoevsky says that the only reason people moan when they have a toothache is so they can lacerate the hearts of everyone around them. The individual knows that the moaning sounds won't do shit about the pain or improve his condition, because it's not about that. It's not about getting better. It's about making everybody else around you feel like shit. Like Damier always says, you know how that Schadenfreude be going. Damier also says that pale-faced men in windowless black vans from NIH come down to the south side and snatch people up, cut off their appendages, and cauterize them right there in the back of the goddamn van. We even know some folks personally who claim that this happened to them. But these are the same type of motherfuckers that make fraudulent claims and attempt to finesse FEMA and fuck it up for people like us. And as far as the men in the black vans go, they would need a motive, right? A reason for coming to our city? What could an appendage be worth? It's a tentacle. Like Damier always says, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Get it? It's a play on the word sense. The word sense is a double entendre for the word sense, as in change. Like money. Sorry. Damier says that we should refrain from explaining the punchline to people because it exsanguinates the joke. Sorry. So I was posted on Farragut Avenue daydreaming about that designer tactical vest with the Burberry Novacek logo printed all over it. In my dream, I was able to weave my tentacle in and out of the compartments in my vest. You see, in my dream, it was impossible for anybody to tell that I was different. Hey you, a musical voice said, snapping me out of my daydream. It was Sheila. With the almond eyes and all that hair, but this time she wasn't in her window 6 stories above me. She was here, finally here, right on the block with me on my block, and I couldn't think of anything clever to say. When she smiled at me, the way her smile looked like that song by Minnie Riperton. You shouldn't hide it, she said. She caught me off guard. Hide what? You know what. My face was on fire. I have blessings too, Sheila said, taking off her denim jacket and placing it on my lap. The skin under my eyes felt wet. Blessings? Sheila smiled at me and the Minnie Riperton song started playing in my head again. She turned around and showed me. Appendages! 2 of them, just like mine. They hung down her back, pulsating rhythmically, each of them protruding from identical 6-inch openings in her shoulder blades, perfectly symmetrical and wet with ichor. Why do you think they sent me back from NIH in a limo with all that Fiji water, dummy? Sheila laughed at me, musical laughter like that part in that Minnie Riperton song when Elsa Harris and Kitty Hayward come in with the backup singing and it goes, throw up your fears, let your heart beat freely, and the time that a new time is born. You know that song. Well, something was happening to me, you see. Something new. My appendage deployed. Ripping open my shirt, snaking across the pavement, leaving a trail of sap behind it as it slinked over towards Sheila. She smiled at me, bright white teeth, healthy gums, and Minnie Riperton singing about how inside every man lives a seed of the flower, and Sheila's appendages were coiling around mine, leaving behind a glowing trail of discharge. And a crowd started to gather around us. Freaks! Freaks! Someone shouted. And Minnie Riperton, she was just singing, if he looks within, he finds beauty and power. And then I felt my back open up. There was a tugging sensation, then release. I watched a new appendage shoot out and ensnare the bystander that called us freaks. I felt pressure at the base of my spine as the new appendage wrapped itself around them, coating their body in all of my glistening sap. More appendages burst from Sheila's chest and shoulder blades, slithering around, searching for prey like the tentacles of a giant squid. I couldn't stop the tears from coming. We used our blessings to appeal to the hearts and minds of the crowd that gathered around us, wrapping our appendages around them and appropriating their bodies. To the left of us are laurel branches. They crept along the sidewalks like kudzu. To the right of us are myrtle boughs and ivy vines climbed up the glass storefronts of the liquor store and beauty supply shops. We were so beautiful. All of us, the beauty of the scene drawing others closer to the writhing mass of limbs that we have become. And as more people approached us, we sprouted new appendages and we appropriated them too. Now you see, whole time, we know this guy from the South Side who doesn't believe in the value of fiat currency. When the federal government got rid of the gold standard in the 1930s, it substituted its citizens as collateral for the country's debt by pledging each citizen's future earning to foreign investors. Don't sign your name in all caps. Sign it, and it represents the corporate identity you, not the flesh and blood you. That's what he always says. He likes to talk about how paper money is backed by nothing but a legislative statute and how the concept of money itself came to exist by individual actors solving the coincidence of double wants. His 93 Bubble Caprice has a license plate that reads Republic of North Carolina. Noble Alano Hunt L. Bay, executive trustee for the private contract trust known as Alano Hunt, he says. That's how I sign on my shit. One may also use red ink or add their thumbprint to documents to avoid inadvertent submission, if one was so inclined. We used to think he was a fucking idiot, but now we're not so sure. What value could paper money hold for us now? We had become something greater than what we were when there was only one of us. You see, staring into Sheila's eyes, which are now our eyes, going on 3 days now without food or water, and the rest of the city's eyes, or the idea that we even need food or water anymore, and we are starting to think that fiat money isn't as important as we thought it was. You see, before we became a part of nature, we were obsessed with Burberry designer tactical vests. Not only were they a fashion trend, you see, Damier had one with the Louis Vuitton logo printed all over it, like the one Nick Cannon wore on Wildin' Out. But with a little imagination and DIY, we believed we could keep our first appendage completely concealed. The way we saw it, we cut out the bottoms of the various vest compartments, weave our appendage in and out. We could tuck it up under the vest or over our shoulder, wedge it under the shoulder strap part, and the fabric would cover the length and thickness of it. We wouldn't have to hold our breath in and clench our assholes all the time. It was the perfect solution. You see, all we wanted to do was hide. Back then, we were still separated from nature, hiding our radiant blessings from the world. We were ashamed of it, so it filled us, pressing against our ribs, pushing aside our lungs and heart. It is impossible to contain beauty of this kind. Beauty of that nature demands absolute freedom. So we had to stop fighting. Now we don't hide our blessings. We have no compulsion to chase money and stack paper and blow it all on our fashion trends. You see, in our nature, money has become meaningless. And we know that now. See, we are the next stage of evolution. And like Damier always says, you gotta chase that bag at all costs. When he says chase the bag is a colloquialism where we're from, which means that one should pursue any and all opportunities for financial gain. As we continue to appropriate the bodies of the city and county and the rest of the state, he too will understand that chasing the bag is unnecessary. Thank you, everybody.